Are breast implants permissible? Are breast implants permissible? طيب. So, in general, modifying or altering the form upon which Allah Ta'ala created us is impermissible or haram, especially when that takes some form of harm or the other. Right? So this is a general rule. Of course, there are specifics. There are ahadith and ayat to espouse the idea of not changing our creation and also of not causing harm. So for example, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam curses a group of people guilty of changing the form of Allah's creation. And there's a long list of people mentioned within that hadith narrated by Imam Muslim. However, scholars acknowledging this general rule, they have made a number of exceptions and concessions. One instance of an exception is when someone has been created with a defect or an abnormality of sorts that is not to be decided by that person or by society, but rather by medical professionals. So, for example, if somebody were to meet up with an accident, wal-'iyadhu billah, Allah protect us, or someone was born with a defect, right, of whatever nature, to the extent that medical professionals offer a solution where the person could move beyond their abnormality or their defect, and it wouldn't be an impediment for them, because when you have some form of abnormality, it could potentially be a social impediment and it could obstruct progress in one's normal everyday life as a human being. Unfortunately, that's how humans work. So if this can be rectified medically, then that would be permissible, but this is not for us to decide. So somebody can't decide, you know what, my nose is a bit abnormal and therefore I'm going to have a nose job. No, that's not how it should be done. But if someone was, for example, born with half a nose, there's a gaping hole in the nose, or there's been an accident and the nose needs to be repaired, etc., under these genuine medical circumstances or genuine abnormality, this could be changed. So in relation to breast implants, there may well be situations wherein it is permissible. So for example, whether this be through cancer or through a defect or through some other procedure that a lady had to undertake and therefore needs breast implants to develop, or not to develop, but to rather appear normal, if I can use that term, or have usual appearance, then this would be permissible. But merely desiring to have bigger or smaller breasts without any medical validation to do so, in other words, if it's elective surgery without any reason that can be medically espoused or that can be espoused as far as a genuine need is concerned, then this would not be permissible. So the conditions, of course, is that, number one, if there's no alternative that is less invasive, if there's no alternative that is less invasive, that exists, then a medical procedure could be permissible. And number two, the procedure must generally be considered safe. Of course, the medical industry would be the first to say that any surgery has risks, and that is in fact the case. But if these risks are the usual risks and there are no serious implications or serious risks above the average risks, then it should be fine. So it shouldn't be risk-free, but it should be free of dire risks, specific risks for this particular person. And in addition, there should be an expectancy of success. So with these last two conditions that I mentioned, if there has been a woman, for example, who had breast cancer and therefore now only has one breast, if medically it is considered generally safe for her to have an implant, then that could be a solution. However, if the only reason she's having an implant is the appearance that she has in front of society, let's say for herself she's fine with it, for her husband he's fine with it, for the family they're all fine with it, they don't mind the different appearance, then should she really undertake surgery? if the societal perspective of her can be averted by the usage of other, other materials or other ways to appear normal to society. So these are questions that need to be considered before just going ahead with the surgery. So this is the general case. Is this type of surgery permissible? Generally, changing our appearance with medical procedures or where harm is a potential is impermissible. Can there be circumstances with which these things become permissible and necessary? Yes, there can be. What are the conditions? There must be no alternative that is less invasive, and there must be a genuine medical need for it, or a reasonable need that can be justified. And secondly, it must be considered generally safe, all risks that are considered normal or usual considered, and then there should be some level of expectancy of success. A fatwa such as this must be looked at an individual level. So every circumstance should ideally be consulted with a scholar and taken from there, inshallah ta'ala. And this shouldn't be looked at as a blanket fatwa that would apply to any and all circumstances. Wallahu subhanahu wa ta'ala a'lam bis-sawab.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله.